Animals like drinking! Cheers. One more. Hear that song? Pretty good for the oils and fruit. All new variations. Fit your lifestyle.
Happy Valentine's.
Hello, potential survivors. Ghostfake here, and I'm here to talk to you about a perfectly harmless, yet sometimes fatal affliction called subscriber's guilt. This unbelievably dangerous disease occurs when YouTube recommends a video that you may like, and based off the one video, you subscribe to that channel, only to find out that every other video on that channel is complete trash. Well, I'm here to tell you that at Survivor's Guilt, you don't have to worry about that, because every video is trash. Here at Survivor's Guilt, we determine your chances of surviving your favorite and not favorite horror movies, using our patented survival stat technology based loosely in science. We calculate your exact odds of surviving through these movies. Did I say exact? I meant exaggerated and biased. We do this by taking a look at our main characters and the death that surrounds them to determine your chances of suffering survivor's guilt. So don't afflict yourself with subscriber's guilt, try survivor's guilt, and prepare to be disappointed.
Started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Final Onesies Horror Podcast. This is our inaugural episode. We are here. We are ready to go. I am joined today by two of my hosts, Mr. MasterShake and Mr. Fading Arcader. What's going on, gentlemen? I'm taking these off. I'm sorry. I got to do it. We are missing one host today, and that is Frank. He had some stuff he had to attend to, but you will see him later in our interview with Michael J. Abbott. But we're here. And we're ready to talk horror.
And onesies.
How does everybody feel about this gimmick?
This is the most comfortable thing I've ever worn.
It is.
I'm not even gonna pretend. When Miranda bought them for me, I got two. I got this and I got a Batman one.
Nice.
I took it out of the box and I, of course, immediately put it on. And I was expecting to just start dealing on it. And then suddenly, I got it on and I looked at her and I was like, "This isn't terrible." And she's like, "I know, I wear this kind of stuff all the time." And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't and I walked around the rest of the night. We just happened to be watching Nightmare on Elm Street 3 with Dead Time Drive-In. And so I just kept it on for Nightmare on Elm Street. And I dig it, man. I'm kind of into the onesie thing. I don't know. Is there a onesie group in the Twitter sphere that all they do is talk about onesies? Because I want to join that group.
There's a group for everything. There's a group for everything.
I feel like
unfortunately there's a group for everything.
We need a new hashtag. We need horror onesies. And that's just they got to follow us, and that's how we go. Just in case anything else falls apart, because we are part of Mutant Fam, horror community. All those wonderful hashtags, but just in case in a world where everything starts to get destroyed, we're there.
We're united by onesies.
We're reunited by onesies. That's right. We're fighting the war in our onesies. They keep us warm during the winters. I got to tell you, I got a Snorlax onesie because it's the only thing that fits me. I had to order it from China. It's not a BS. It took. I paid for 5 to 7 business days, and it still took 12 days.
Crazy.
Because I guess I had to find the extra material. I don't know.
You gotta get Katie on and have her wear a unicorn onesie. I think that'd be hilarious.
Oh, we're definitely getting Katie on. If it wasn't our first episode, I probably would have invited her on for this because it was her birthday. But everybody watching, we are Mutant Fam. We are Horror Fam. We love horror movies. You can check out all of our stuff. We're always on Twitter. So, just kind of introduce us. I am the Scene Snob Manhattan. Of course, MasterShake has his show. And we're going to show you that trailer in just a second. And I'm going to let him talk about it a little bit before we get started. And John, over here, Fading Arcader is the man behind Twitter. I think you run Twitter. You just know everybody. I see you everywhere, man. And he is a plethora of horror knowledge. No, let me finish my compliments to you, sir. I got to give you
Continue.
So how you doing, sir? I'm so glad you guys could join me. Frank did message me, said, just some things he had come up this weekend. But like I said, everybody, you can check him out in our interview with Michael J. Abbott afterwards. How you guys doing today? Everything horrific? Oh, I like that. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I like you said, I mean, you called me the man behind Twitter, or that I run Twitter. It's just it's crazy because before I ran into the Mutant Fam, I barely used Twitter. I mean, I was doing it for a while because I like professional wrestling, or at least I used to watch that. And I kind of live tweet that stuff, but like I barely used it. And then all of a sudden I ran into the Mutant Fam, and now like I'm just on Twitter all the time, and I don't mind being on there. Some people, social media kind of gets to them after a while, but I think there are a lot of people in the Mutant Fam community that kind of feel isolated, and it's just kind of nice for them to have someone who they can kind of reach out to. And I had a friend of mine who passed away a couple years ago now, and he was just the nicest guy, but like nobody really ever took the time to get to know him, and he's kind of shy, so he couldn't really put himself out there. And I just kind of want to be that friend for people that are like that don't feel comfortable reaching out. And so you see me on Twitter all the time, and that's why. It's because I'm just trying to be out there for people, I guess. That's my small way of trying to contribute to the good in the world. That's
awesome, man. I love that. And you can do that for me because I don't want to connect with anybody. No. I'm so glad to connected with you guys and all our buddies. And our watches are always just so much fun. But before I let you explain your show, Dan, I want to show somebody something.
Animal like drinking! We're drinking. Cheers. One more. Hear that song? It's good for the oil free. Only variation. Fit your lifestyle.
Happy about.
For everybody who just hears music in the podcast version of this, you're about to understand what we just watched. So go ahead, take it away, man.
Okay, so I'm a teacher, and so I spend 2.5 months every year with very little to do. I finished my master's degree in 2014, and I was like, now what? I did a bunch of grant work for Grand Valley State University while I was in grad school, and so I got a job as a bartender. And the thing that it really taught me was that anybody can make cocktails. Even if you're a schlub like me, that I was a beer tender in college. I poured a lot of beer, but these high-end cocktails that people make, they're not, magic. It's science and chemistry. And so I wanted to bring this to people, and we had this whole lockdown, right? And I was like, how can I bring this to people when I can't go out and talk to people about beer and cocktails in the community? And so I just started making videos, and my brother, Tim, he's going to be a partial host for this podcast. He said, you really should show people in the group these videos. And I was like, okay. So I made one, and I had 11 people tune in, and then I made another one. And then eventually it just became like a thing I was doing every Friday. And I love it. It's like, it's funny. Both of you have seen Fight Club before. You know how there's that line in Fight Club. It became the reason why and he starts listing the things he's doing, like push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. It's become the motivation for me throughout the week far more than anything else. I love generating the content and showing people some of the things that I learned while I was bartending and through research. And I think that like it's a fun format to do it in. You know, I always open up with several beers where I talk about, and it's usually, you know, I just finished mine, but Michigan, you know, I had my Michigan love, and then we go into a cocktail that's theme oriented. Sometimes it's associated with the movie that we're watching that night. Sometimes it's something else. My favorite personal one that I've done was the Alien one. But you know, it's the kind of thing where I think that cocktails, horror, and nostalgia all blend together into this really cool cocoon, and we're all inside of it. That was the most impressive thing about joining this whole community that you know John was talking about before. I have constantly felt like, you know, so few people that I met in person would get a lot of the pop culture references that I would make. And then suddenly I was in this chat with everybody, like on Twitter, like, and everybody got all my jokes. And I was like, this is the greatest community in the world, man. Like, everybody's seen all the same stuff I do. So when I make like, you know, my favorite quote probably in the world is like, you know, how do I get out of this chicken shit outfit? You know, from Aliens. Like, I say that at the end of almost every workday to my best friend that I work with. And he's like, you know, we always come up with different ways, but like, I said that one of the very first times I was live tweeting a Joe Bob episode, and 3 people joined in with like, you always were an asshole, Gorman. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And so that's the show tries to be all of that. Like, cocktails is an important part of it, obviously. But I think that like coming together under pop culture as a roof, you know, Brian kind of does that too, you know, with his food. Like, the food and the drink, they're kind of this like spear. But everything else is about this pop culture, you know, genre. And like, I think it's important for people to connect with common experiences. And that's what I try to do.
Man, you have a great show, and I love it.
Thanks,
every
man.
week. You know, I'm not a huge drinker, but everything you make looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I would drink that. And you made me a special Manhattan one day, so that was amazing. So I gotta ask, we're going in, getting into horror, and this is our first show. I should probably ask, what is your favorite horror movies? Or just give us one. Like, what's your favorite horror movie?
I'll let John go first. Go ahead.
Sure, I see how it is. I always struggle with favorites just because I think, and you know, MasterShake here, he's the same way. I like so many different things that like you trying to narrow things down is just so tough for me, because I'm just like, but wait, no, this is no, wait, oh no, but this one, and it's like, and I don't, you know, and I put out there every once in a while, I was like, oh, this is one of my favorites. It's like, dude, everything's your favorite. But you know, that's just kind of the energy I like to give out anyway. Is just that I like a lot of different things. But the thing that kind of got me into horror, and so it's one of my favorites, would be Scream. I think a lot of people start out watching slasher movies as their first kind of introduction into horror, because it's just one of the more mainstream horror options out there, and then you kind of segue into other stuff. But I mean, that's, you know, that for me, Scream was just, it's a good blend of comedy and kind of satire and everything that is kind of my style of humor. So for me, that one's probably going to be one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a great choice.
Mrs. Shake would love that choice. That's her favorite. We argue about it all the time. I'm not a big fan of meta horror, and so like, she and I are always like about Scream. And for me, being such a big fan of Wes Craven, like, it's so funny because if you watch New Nightmare, you can see the connection between Scream and New Nightmare, like the direction that he was going. And like, I'm not a big fan of New Nightmare, like a lot of people are, and Scream, I got to tell you, man, it's probably among my like most disappointing movies. Because
No one attack, man. No one attack MasterShake, please.
No, you can't. I mean, this is the thing. Is like I think it's important to develop like a level of communication and make sure that people are, because like you can respectfully disagree with everything. I understand why people love that movie, and like it's just not for me for a lot of reasons.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing is like I think developing hierarchical thinking and understanding that some art, because that's really what we're debating here, right? Is like this Aristotelian kind of like hierarchical viewpoint.
I don't know. You're using a lot of words I don't understand. Listen,
You save that degree.
I got to use it some way because it doesn't like having my master's degree doesn't help me with high schoolers. I'll tell you that. But for me, it's so funny because like I agree with John. He said like it's so hard because there's so many things that I'm wearing this Nightmare on Elm Street 3 hat. That's probably the horror movie that I've seen the most. But I mean, is it my favorite? No. I like probably I have to go with Alien. I got to always go back to The Well. For me, the scariest thing in the world is the unknown. It's that kind of like, if you want to call it Lovecraftian, you can, but like it's that like unknown aspect of what we don't have a definition for, and Alien represents that for me. It's like I so many movies, the big bad is some bipedal, two-handed, human-esque thing, and then you have something like Alien come along that is so fundamentally different. It's right along there with The Thing and stuff like that. Like I love how it's just terrifying what we don't know, and Alien's a good representation of that, I think.
It's a great choice. I don't have nearly the vocabulary or smarts to say anything other than my favorite is The Thing. Just a great isolation movie. I like how it's different, and it's a lot of times I've gotten hit by saying like I like the fact that it's just 12 men. Now I don't care; it could be 12 women. I like the idea that it's just
small, isolated, like
small,
you said.
and it's these men, and men have this. And the reason I like it's all men is because women almost in every horror movie are voice of reason. Especially what they call the final girl. So to not have really a voice of reason among these men, they are kind of their own alpha. Everyone's an alpha male, kind of going after each other in their own way, and there is no real voice of reason there for them. I like that more. So I would, if they ever remade that movie and just put women in it, I'd be okay with that too. So I want to put that out there now. I'm not against women taking over the movie. That would be interesting too.
So are you familiar with Lord of the Flies?
Of course, yeah. I love it.
Okay, so I see it as a very similar movie to Lord of the Flies, or like it's a movie that is similar to the book. And Golding himself, who wrote Lord of the Flies, said you can't do that with a female roster because they wouldn't disintegrate the same way that all those boys do. Now, whether or not you agree with that, that's one thing. But like, I think it would be really interesting to kind of like explore it in terms of a feminine perspective, because it's the kind of thing that lends itself to communication in the first place. One of the main reasons that everything breaks down is because of the lack of communication that they have among the group. Everybody is that alpha male. Everybody is isolationist. I mean, the whole thing is like somehow you can feel alone despite the fact that you're in a group of 12 men.
Yeah.
And like, I think that would be a really cool, like, and one of the things that goes wrong with reboots is they just do it like shot for shot, basically. Right. And so it'd be the kind of reboot that I would love to see just because it's fundamentally different. Same theme, but different take on it. And like, I love the movie so much. And the very first time I ever saw it, it was the middle of winter during a snowstorm, and we opened all the windows. Nice. We wanted this like sensory kind of like experience with it. And so we were sitting there like with our winter jackets on, watching it on the TV. It was an old 23-inch tube TV to tell everybody. But yeah, it's a great movie. That's a great choice, Mick.
Thanks. Yeah, it's there's just something down to its baser level that just like kind of like I think reaches out to everyone who watches it, male, female, whatever. And it just kind of hits you home, like what would you do in this situation?
Yeah.
You know, where you can't trust anybody, because we all know what it's like to not trust someone.
That is true.
So we can identify with that, but having to still work together with the people there to try and survive it, you know, it's I don't know, it hits on every front for me. It's just a brilliant movie. Now I was looking up some news, horror movie news coming up, and I asked you guys if you had anything. Is there anything coming down the pipe that you guys are excited about happening soon? Or?
Halloween Kills.
Nice, very nice.
Me and everybody else, because we were looking forward to seeing it last fall, probably.
I'm excited for a Candyman remake too.
Yes.
I think
pretty good.
Because it continues, and I like that. I like you're saying Halloween Kills, Halloween from 2018. I like that it continued the story. You know, it went in a different direction from the other sequels, but the Candyman the same way. And that's 3 times. We're not going to say it anymore. But, you know, that movie the same way it's going to continue so it can continue. They're going to change it around. Like, you know, Tony Todd is still involved in it.
I was going to say, is Tony Todd still involved?
Yeah, but they're going to change the lore up. So it's not just this one man in the past who was wrong, this one black man. It's going to be all people of color who have been wronged have the capability of becoming that.
So it's like a mantle almost.
Yeah.
Nice.
I kind of like that idea. I like that idea of kind of opening it up. And I mean, what's his name? Yahya Mateen Abdul too, who is the actor who's from Watchmen. He's been tons of stuff. But he is the star. He's playing the young, remember the baby from the first one?
Yeah.
That's him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be him growing up and kind of connecting with that lore again that he was so much a part of, and it kind of taking him over. So I kind of like the idea that they're continuing that story.
Oh, that's rad. Like, I didn't know a whole lot about it. Like I said, I didn't even know if Tony Todd was involved. I just knew it was coming.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard this too, but a lost George Romero movie is coming to Shudder this summer.
Yeah, amusement park, right?
Yep. Yeah, I did not know this, but he was commissioned by the Lutheran Society to make a movie about the poor treatment of elderly people in society at the time. And so he made Amusement Park, and that's why it hasn't been seen, because it wasn't meant for like wide release. So I'm excited, man. More Romero, I'm all in.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I saw the headline for it, but I didn't read it. I think it came across my RSS while I was at work or something, and I didn't want to pull it up on the work computer. So
it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's Romero in the early days. I just have a
feeling.
Well, I saw the title. I just assumed it was like a call, like maybe he made his own version of Carnival of Souls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe that, but if it's commissioned by the Lutheran Society and it's elderly, then it probably couldn't be any more different.
Oh, we'll see, man. I mean, he probably made what he wanted to make, and that's why we hadn't seen the light of day.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, like, I attended that webinar that the University of Pittsburgh threw, because they've been going through the Romero archives, because it's taken them a couple of years to kind of get through stuff, and they finally had a presentation a couple of weeks ago. And it was just interesting because I don't think they touched on that, because they only touched on like the top 10 things. But, you know, they had like the working shoot script for Night of the Living Dead that they found. And like there's and actually that was kind of interesting, because in the original script, it turns out that they realized that they accidentally shot, is it Ben, I think, right?
Ben.
The lead, yeah. They realized that they've accidentally shot him, so which kind of takes away a little bit of the impact of like the endings. And you know, when they, you know, not to get too far off topic, but when they cast that role, they didn't search for a black man to be in that role. He just happened to be the best person who read for the role. They just didn't change anything in the script. They didn't go out of their way to make it like a commentary on race. They just were like, yeah, you're just the best for the role, and they made some tweaks here and there, but I think for the most part, my understanding is they kind of left the role as is. So I think, it's interesting. But going back to that, they found some stuff about Martin that clears up a little bit that it's actually a vampire movie, apparently.
Yeah.
Because, they found some stuff that was like an early version of that script where it turns out he's not a vampire. And then they found he started working with some students in Florida on a Bigfoot movie. And they actually filmed some stuff for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like I think that's probably where that's coming from. I wouldn't be surprised if that was in the archives, and they had been working on getting that released. So
that's awesome. That is so cool. I want to learn all about that because he was a genius, man. That was the man who talked me into going to film school. I met him, and I was like, I had saved a seat in the film school down in Florida called Full Sail, and he had been there and he had done talks, so he knew the school well. So when I met him, I asked him, I was like, I saved a seat, and I'm 24 now, and I'm kind of like picking up later in my life to go to film school. What do you think? And he sat me down and he talked to me about it, man. And it was just like, he was like, you got to go. And he remembered me when he came back to the school. So I was like, you're the man, man. I was like, church general, like, you're the best.
Awesome.
So that was, he always, everything he does near and dear. I love Night of the Living Dead. It's one of my, it still holds up in my opinion.
Yeah.
Still just a beautiful movie. But like, so I cannot wait for Amusement Park. I'm so glad Shudder got it too.
Yeah. That is cool. Yeah.
Because they're doing.
I don't have to subscribe to something else.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, I mean, that's the thing about Shudder is like they're making things or acquiring things for horror fans. It's not like, okay, we're gonna stuff this down your throat.
Yeah.
Everything is for a horror fan.
I think it's kind of nice because like Shudder is owned by AMC, so like they kind of do a Disney approach to things where like they're like, here's the horror arm and here's the other arm of this. So like we don't put stuff that's not related to horror on Shudder just because we own it. We have something else that can do that. So.
Yeah, that's legit, man. I'm so excited for that and so much more that they got coming out. I don't want to make this a Shudder
like commercial
show, but
if they want to give us free subscriptions, I guess we could talk that. Just kidding.
They better give us free yearly subscriptions for sure. If your show doesn't go past a year, you run out.
Especially since, with Joe Bob season 3 coming up, like I hope they stay aggressive and like keep introducing, like the one that just blew me away because I had never seen anything like it before. The tech noir Japanese film from last season. I'm trying to remember.
Tetsuro, right?
Tetsuro,
yeah.
I know my brother would want me to say One Cut of the Dead, but I can't. He loves that, and it's okay. Like I found it kind of funny, but Tetsuo was so awesome, and I had never seen anything like it. It was like a Tool video, but lasted an hour, and like I probably watched it 4 or 5 times, and like I hope Joe Bob season 3 stays on the cusp of a lot of that stuff, because the specials that he's done since season 2 there hasn't been anything really off in left field yet. It's all been, not safe picks necessarily, but nothing that like avant-garde. And I really want to see even that. What was the Christmas one? I'm trying to think that
Rare Exports. No, it wasn't Rare Exports. It was
the Deadly Games.
Yeah, Deadly Games. That even that one really I didn't think was like in that. Holy cow, Joe Bob has given us something that is so far out there that I would have never found it on my own.
Yeah.
And like I'm most pumped about that, about season 3 of Joe Bob showing me more horror that I never would have found. It's why I hate that like things like Blockbuster and Family Video have gone out of business, because like that was the only way I found stuff like that. And now he's pretty much, with the exception of like our community, obviously, like, you know, Brian or Frank will suggest something that's just insane and I'll watch it. But like, I love the days of like finding these things that are these diamonds in the rough that you never would have found otherwise. And so far, you know, in the like post-digital landscape, like the only place I've been able to do that is Shudder as far as horror. Yeah. And like that's what I like the best about it is like, here's some stuff that you never what was that short series they did, the something machines? Did you guys watch that? It's a Shudder exclusive. I want to say it was
Blood Machines?
2 15-minute shorts. What'd you say, John?
Blood Machines, maybe?
Blood Machines, yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I mean, I never would have found that without Shudder. And granted, it is honestly insane. It's crazy if you watch it. Have you seen it, John?
No, I've seen it on the page a few times.
It only takes half an hour. Sit down and watch it and see what you think, because no matter what, even if you think it's bad, it's gonna make you sit there and be like, "What did I just watch?" And like that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I should have said that originally instead of Halloween Kills. I'm pumped for, obviously, but like I want more like horror that is just new and fresh from a different perspective and not a rehashing of a lot of old tropes. That was probably the best thing about Halloween 2018 was that it didn't rehash old stuff. That one shot where he goes through the neighborhood, you know, granted, other horror movies have done that, but like it felt new in the theater. And like that's what I'm looking forward to the most is like this new avant-garde stuff. Freak me out, scare me, push me to the cusp of who I am, and then get me past that barrier and show me something that I've never seen before. So I am reflective and second guessing the nature of, you know, mankind, the existential questions that come with horror. Push me there. That's what I want.
One thing I really liked about when it comes to Halloween from 2018 too was that they changed the dynamic. I love that they kept in her head that he is somebody coming for her. She for 40 years has been living under this, living with like this, you know, this traumatic stress in her life, where she's completely lost everything. She's changed her life and trained for him. And then when he gets out, he's not even a thought. She's not a blip on his radar. He's just a killer. He's a force that goes out to kill. And it takes the granddaughter being out and him saying, all right, I'm turning my sights on her, for them to cross paths. He would have never seen Lori had he just been able to go out and do his thing. And he probably didn't even know who she was.
I didn't even think about that. That's awesome. I was so focused on like the kills, you know, I mean, like that I didn't really think so much about that. That's a good point, Mick.
Yeah. And it plays to the small town aspect of it too.
Yep.
You know, he's out to kill. That's it. He doesn't care. That's what he wants. He probably just wants everybody dead. And I like that. Because all those sequels just made it like he has to have
Lori,
that enemy. And it's like in Lori for a while, and then then Busta Rhymes, because Busta's the man.
That scene where they're coming at each other in the burning closet or whatever it is. I'm trying to remember where they were. Like, it's just on fire. That's all I remember.
Oh my God, it was the best. It was so bad. He's just exploding Sonny Chiba. So let me ask, actually I'm gonna take this one first, if you guys don't mind. Let's talk about what we're watching. What, anything new any new horror movie that you watched recently. And I'm gonna say Willy's Wonderland was one I just watched. And man, I love the hell out of that movie. It was so off the wall, so weird.
I gotta write that down. I'm not familiar.
It's brand new. It just came out. Nicolas Cage is the star.
Oh, I'm in that. If it's Cage, he's the man.
He's just a drifter whose car gets damaged and needs to be fixed. So he trades working at this like Chuck E. Cheese type place called Willy's Wonderland overnight and fixing it up. What he doesn't know is that all of the animatronic animals are possessed by the souls of serial killers. And awesome. The best part is, the only way I can describe it is, he's not locked in there with them. They're locked in there with him because of the age. And there's more to the story. I am so looking forward because I'm actually going to sit down with the director tomorrow and talk to him about it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Kevin Lewis. Yeah. So I'm very excited to learn more about it because there are some things. I mean, let's face facts. It's called Willy's Wonderland and it's a Nick Cage movie. So there's plot holes for sure.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind them because I liked his character. I liked, what they did with it. I liked the little story of why it's like this. So I can forgive stuff. Like Back to the Future is my favorite movie. I can forgive those plot holes because I love that movie.
Yeah.
But that's one I just watched. You guys gotta check it out. I think you'll love it.
I'm putting it on the playlist right now. Go ahead, John. I'm trying to add it real quick.
So it's because I had heard about that back because that filmed a little ways ago, I think, actually, didn't it?
Yeah.
I know I heard about that like 2018 it was coming out because there was another movie the Bananas movie or something like that that's a similar premise, but so I'd heard about that one. For me, I have actually not been watching a lot of new horror. I mean, the most recent one I saw was The Dark and the Wicked, with the Mutant Fam on Friday. Trying to think of the most, and there's a couple I want to see. Like I haven't seen Freaky yet. I want to see that.
Check it out. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of blanking on new stuff. I guess the most recent movie that I watched that was like new horror was Promising Young Woman, which is a different kind of horror, because it's not just straight. It's not a straight kill 'em movie kind of thing. It's a more of a drama thriller kind of thing. So that would probably be the most recent one that I watched. And that because that's the tough one to watch. I think men have trouble watching that kind of stuff because of the topic of that it covers. But I also think that it's important that men watch that kind of stuff because I mean, like the big thing about Promising Young Woman is the idea that of the nice guy. That guy who's like, no, I'm a nice guy. I'll watch out for you and I'll protect you. And she constantly goes out and finds these guys that are going to try and take advantage of her. Except for she's not actually drunk or incapacitated. But these guys are 100% going to take advantage of her. And I think it's an idea that has popped up here and there, but a lot of people don't think about that kind of aggression either. So it's kind of interesting to watch, to kind of force yourself to watch movies like that. And I mean, Carey Mulligan, she's great.
Great
she's
actress.
A terrific actress, yeah. And, but at the same time, I think it's important to watch that kind of stuff. So it's a good movie. It's just, obviously some people are going to struggle watching that, but everyone's got their thing that they always struggle with. Me personally, like when animals die in a movie, like in a horror movie, that's the thing that always turns me off and always kind of like takes points away because I'm like, I don't think it's necessary, but,
No, I
find it lazy. Like a lot of the times when they do that with the animals, it's like a lazy, like it's a lazy, what do they call them? A MacGuffin? Am I using the term right, Nick?
No, the MacGuffin is the thing that everybody wants. It's not important to the story, but it is what is centered. Everything is centered around. That like the dog getting killed in Halloween.
Yeah.
That was actually a use. That was a convention because you usually horror movies don't like to kill the animals because you're usually going to make everything hated. That was one where the convention sort of worked because what's more evil in people's minds than killing an animal? Even like you could kill like 30 people on screen. You're still kind of like you can.
But he killed the dog.
Yeah, but look at how many people forget that he did that in that movie. because they don't want to believe, because they like Michael Myers and don't want to believe he would kill a dog. But he does. He kills him in the first one, but never again. It never happens again, of course. You know, because he became a popular character. But that's one of those ones where the convention didn't work, but it could have worked because it was done right in the film, but everybody just really wanted to like that character, so it didn't work. That's what they'll do. That they'll kill a child, or they'll kill an animal.
Yeah.
To kind of like push along, like this is pure evil, you know, right here. Promising Young Woman has now done it in a way where it's just so well done. If people haven't seen that movie, definitely check it out. John is 100% right with the nice guy mentality that is spread and women talk about, but nobody really gets. Everybody, because it's so true, and it's portrayed in the movie so well, because it's these guys do believe, like, I'm a nice guy, I don't do this, but you came home with me. And it's like, but it doesn't matter if she came home with you. She doesn't want to do it, or she's drunk or incapacitated. Respect that. You're not a nice guy then. It's just, but it's that weird mentality. But this like kind of points the mirror right back at men when they watch it. It's crazy. It's eye opening.
It pushes those boundaries I was talking about. Like, I think that's what horror really needs to do: make people feel uncomfortable. Yeah,
for sure. And that horror is great for that. I know we're going to talk about The Dark and the Wicked, but MasterShake, man, what you got? What you watching?
Kind of a lame one. The most of the horror that I've watched lately, it's been mutant fam oriented. The other night I stayed up. I was grading papers. I watched Ma. Man, was it promising? So there's some moments in that movie that are legitimately like, interesting. For sure. They had a good premise. I think it's trying to think of the crew that did it. Blumhouse, maybe? Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds like
but so there's some real promising parts in it. And the woman who plays Ma, I think
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, she did a great job. Like legitimately. Like she was living that role, man. But the problem is there's a couple things that are real lazy script writing that I didn't love, and the ending was anticlimactic. And so, without spoilers, in case people want to watch it, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I was at the end. It was 1:30, and I had to be at work and get up at 5, and I was like, not sure that one was worth it. But that's other than everything, that we've watched on Fridays, and unfortunately I still haven't been able to tune in on a Saturday or a Sunday yet. But John, what was the one last Saturday that I wanted to see? My wife and I ended up watching more Marvel movies. So the one last Saturday I really wanted to see, I didn't see. The first showing for Splatter Day. Yeah,
and I don't remember off the top of my head what
I did that one. I really wanted to see, and I have it down. I had added it. It's your movie right there, Mick's Behind the Queue. I just put it in, but
awesome.
I really wanted to see. I wanted to see that last Saturday, and I was bummed. I mean, I'm never bummed to spend time with my wife, but like I was bummed that she didn't want to watch it. She wanted to watch something else. So that one was one that I wanted to mention, but I just can't remember the name of it. It's my bad.
Well, and I blame you for that. Got to bring it up, and you don't even know. It's all right. No, listen, it happens. I don't remember what the Splatter Day movie was 2 weeks ago, because I cannot attend every watch. I wish I could. I truly do, because I love spending time with everybody, but I'm just like, how do you guys watch horror movies all the time? I can't even, like, move.
Well, Timmy and I talk about this. Like,
I don't have kids, so
with our significant others, and it, like, when you have somebody
I don't have one
else
of those either.
You share the space with, like, it's a prioritized thing. Like, if I'm gonna tune in, so on Fridays when I tune in with you guys, usually Mrs. Shake will tune in for the first movie, and then she's in bed by 9:30. And that's just like her thing, you know. She likes to. Katie was kind of making fun of it too, because Katie likes apparently to go to bed at like 10 o'clock usually, and she's just saying, no, I love sleep, and like Miranda likes to go to bed early. So it's the kind of thing where like if it's something she picks, she's more likely to spend more time, you know. So we always have this healthy balance between, and that's something that like maybe in the future we could do an episode on, like how you find a healthy balance like between those things, because sometimes like I feel bad, like I don't do a good enough job at finding that healthy balance. And like I'm wondering what other people do in terms of that, because like I can be selfish, especially when it comes to media, man. I'm real picky. And she watches, in my opinion, what it is some absolute garbage. She is forever banned from picking movies in the theater because of Scream 4. Like this is a lifetime ban scenario where we have to have a dialogue about what movie she's going to pick. Obviously I'm joking, but like she picked Scream 4 one time, and now I can't help myself. Anytime she's going to pick a movie when theaters are open, I'd be like, are you sure this isn't a Scream 4 scenario? Do I have to intervene here? And she's just, you know, like she gives me a like punch in the shoulder or something. But like having that healthy balance is so hard, because I want to tune in to everything. And like,
I do like this topic. I'm going to save it though, because I want to bring more people in.
For sure. Like, because Frank can do it with his daughter. He probably has like a different perspective there, you know. Yeah. And like, I think it's important to communicate that, because the other part is I feel like some people feel guilty when they don't tune in, and I don't like. Yeah. Katie was like, "I'm so sorry, I was late to your show." I was like, "Katie, we're good, bro. Like, it's okay. Like, the only person who has to tune in is my brother, because I will hunt him down like a dog." But like,
as many shows as I have on the Scene Snobs, if I held everybody on my friends list to have to watch it, that would just be I would be living a life that is a dream world, and I would never want to hold anybody to watch it. Nobody has to watch it. It's just for me. I'm having fun.
As the horror community, I think that's a great topic again for the future. I don't know.
I do love it. Yeah, and I do want to get Frank's perspective, and I want to bring on some guests for that one, because I think that would be a really good one to talk about. I do want to talk about real quick, because we got two more topics. We're running out of time a little bit. The Dark and the Wicked is a new one we watched. And I want to get what you guys thought about it real quick. You know, and so everybody knows, we did do an interview with one of the stars, Michael Abbott Jr. Frank and I. It will be playing after this video, so stick around for that.
John, I'll let you open.
Okay. You know, I'm gonna admit that it was okay. I wasn't kind of blown away with it. Like, I can see that look on your face, because I'm just. I mean, it's good, and it's, you know, it's funny because, you know, we would have been discussing Midsummer, and here I'm going to try to defend this one slow burn and like say that another slow burn wasn't exactly my speed. But for me, stuff about parents is a little tougher, because I won't get into that kind of stuff. I mean, I can, but just to keep the show a little lighter, I just struggle with any type of relationship dynamic between like fathers and sons and their kids, essentially. So for me, like my brain can't connect to the material as well, which is probably why I didn't enjoy it as much. And that's, you know, I think that's a thing with horror, and, you know, we're talking about gatekeeping and everything, essentially. Sometimes you just can't connect with the story or the material, and that's, you know, when you come after somebody for not liking a movie, you don't know why they can't connect with it, and, you know, not everyone has to explain why they can't connect with it. But for me, you know, it's kind of religious territory as well, which I also don't exactly connect with, just again because I'm kind of a more spiritual person, but not necessarily like a churchy religion type person. So you got, you know, father stuff, and you've got church stuff, or like religious stuff, and I mean, a lot of the film itself is done very well. It's filmed great, and like there's a lot of good effects and everything in there. It's just, for me, the pacing and the subject matter kind of took me out of it a little bit. And I'm actually planning on watching it again because I want to make sure that I didn't actually like. Maybe it's just I wasn't feeling it that day. Anytime I run into a movie where like people are always like, "Oh, this is amazing," I don't necessarily go back and watch it and beat myself over the head with it until I get it. But I will watch it more than once because you can watch it once and maybe not catch something, or something will just click the second or third time around. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to watch it like 8 times until I get it. But I will watch it again to see if maybe it's just something that I didn't catch the first time. But I think overall it's a well done movie. I think it's getting a lot of praise, and I think it's deserved. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that just because I didn't like it, it doesn't deserve any praise it's getting. So I think if you like the kind of slower burn movies, and you like that kind of supernatural, eerie kind of like demon spirit kind of stuff, a lot of times that's the stuff I enjoy. So I think people will like it. If you haven't seen it, I think those are the things that people will like about it, is that kind of slower pace, and it's not a lot of jump scares and stuff. I mean, they do use those a couple of times, but it's more of a disorienting experience, and that's what they try to do, is they try to play with that, making you feel at unease when you're watching it.
I loved it. I loved it. Like everything, 99.99% of it. I feel like I have to apologize to the guy who interviewed Mick, because it was like out of context when that popped up. My brother and I had been talking about the movie, and like the only thing about the entire movie that I don't like, I think the score is phenomenal. I think the shots are phenomenal. I love the fact that they used like realistic lighting for most of the film. They didn't overlight any shots really. And it's not quite natural lighting, like something like
The Witch.
Like The Witch. But like it's realistic enough that you don't feel like anything's overshot. And with the exception of one thing, I did not like the fact that at the end
Don't spoil it.
Oh,
don't spoil it.
I won't spoil. No spoilers. Okay,
so I didn't say it, so I don't want to give anything away.
Yep. The very last probably 1 second of the film. That's so 99.99% A+. The biggest movie that I'd parallel with it, feeling wise for me, was Donnie Darko. The idea that when you die, you are completely alone, and that everybody who remains after you they don't actually remember you. They remember this like romanticized like idea of you. So my stepdad died a few years back, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, so we had to wait for the hearse to come, and it took like 2 hours. It was real intense, and I just sat there on the riverbank. And like John, I was raised like Irish Catholic, and now I find myself like fairly atheist, like probably for the most part. And so I'm sitting there on the bank looking at this body, and it just dawned on me that when he was dying, it was just nothing. And like that existential dread set in for me, where I'm sitting there like 2 feet away from this body, just thinking like, wow, it's so death is so anticlimactic, and we don't understand it. And the biggest thing in the movie is, usually in a movie that has like Satan in it, they pretend Satan's understandable. Like we can get it. If there was a Satan, we would have no concept or clue. It would be so far beyond anything that is human. Like think about it, like everything that pops up in the movie, it's like, wait a second, what was that? And suddenly you're doubting, especially, and again, no spoilers, the scene with the like 17, 18-year-old that comes to the door. That scene, man, was like, and everybody in the Discord, when that scene popped up, started talking. And I didn't say anything on purpose. I wanted to see what everybody wanted to say. And like, I can't speak highly enough about this movie. I think that it was the best horror movie of last year, in my opinion. One of the best that I've seen in the past 5 years. I loved it. I love the score. I want to get they're releasing the score on vinyl for I'm trying to think of the website. I can't think of the name of it. But I got Timmy the Nickelodeon soundtrack from there, and that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. Like, I thought he'd love that because of the nostalgia from being a kid.
Wax Records, maybe.
I will say, like, when it came to Dark and the Wicked, very good movie, very well done. I put it in the bank of, for me, like something like The Innkeepers or House of the Devil, stuff like that. Like, really good movie. I like
those movies.
Yeah, like, I mean, really good movie, really well done. I liked it. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. But if somebody says, hey, what did you think of this movie? I'd give it praise. I'd say if you haven't seen it, check it out, definitely. But it's such a slow, dark, morose movie. You know, if I'm going back for a rewatch, those aren't really my cup of tea to go back to. You know, there's never a point. There's always a point where I'm like, okay, I need to feel like sad, so I'm going to watch a sad movie, or I need to feel happy. I need to watch a happy movie, or I just want to be scared, so I'm going to watch like a movie I know scares me. There's never a point where I'm just like, I want to be morose.
Yeah, I didn't like.
So
I don't blame you there.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies in that realm where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be up for that. I may watch it again. I'm not taking it away, but if I don't, I'll still praise it. I'll still tell people, hey, listen, you should go check this out. It's a good movie. That's just kind of my feelings on it. But I did enjoy that we got to ask questions to the main actor, and like he was very forthcoming with his answers and stuff like that. So yeah, with the Dark and the Wicked, I think we all kind of give it a go check it out, at least.
Yeah.
So I want to finish off. I want to finish off the finishing off of February. It is Women in Horror Month, and I wanted to talk about underappreciated women of horror. I figure we all just pick somebody, and real quick, we'll kind of go around the table and just. We don't even have to defend it, because if they're in horror, we're going to love them anyway. But who do we think is underappreciated and deserves more praise? So I'm going to start with you, Dan.
Okay.
Who do you think?
I'm going to say, in general, female directors. Without calling out any specific one necessarily, I followed all of them that Darcy. So when Darcy posted throughout the month, I would look up whomever she was posting and see their like IMDb. One of the things that I think is most difficult to convey is how difficult it is when you are not part of the club to become part of the club. Mm-hmm. And you have to rely a lot on people who are already inside of it to promote you. And I don't think that's happened enough for female directors in horror. We celebrate quite often. I mean, because if you start talking to people about the greatest horror directors of all time, right? They're going to start citing the normals, the John Carpenters, the Wes Cravens, and stuff like that. But, the biggest thing that happens is like female voices get kind of suppressed as a result of like, whether it's nostalgia or an old boys club or whatever you want to talk about it. So as Darcy was out there posting all this stuff and I was following it, it made me realize that I need to challenge myself more to seek out female voices as far as directing horror movies. What was the one Joe Bob showed for Valentine's Day?
The Love Witch.
The Love Witch. She spoke about that a little bit when she was on the show. And along those lines, like, just hearing their voices in terms of what the media they want to generate and the media they want to make. What I like is, so like you have it right here, Mick, and I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but you made women plural. Mm-hmm. And like, I just want to give a shout out to any female who has made or cut their teeth as far as directing horror, because it has to be a fairly difficult old boys club to break into,
Oh yeah. And
so that's gonna be mine, is like, and I've challenged myself more. One of the funny things is like we talk about like it's Women in Horror Month, right? Yeah. Like it always bothers me so much that we have to do that, and we do. We have to have this like month that highlights it, but I just need to do a better job myself at seeking out that kind of content without just counting on what is being provided for me. And that's a big thing that I'm going to do going forward, is like look for female directors specifically and see what they have to say, because I think they have some interesting takes and viewpoints on stuff.
Start with Promising Young Woman.
My brother recommended that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So John, who you got for me? Who's an underappreciated woman of horror?
And I don't know if she would be underappreciated in her time, but now I think you have to look at the people who in the past have kind of led to, I mean, obviously it's still not a lot of opportunities for women in horror, but I'm going to single out a director, Ida Lupino. If you're familiar with The Hitchhiker from 1953 at all, it's a public domain movie.
Yep.
It's three guys, two guys going on a fishing trip to Mexico, and they pick up a hitchhiker who turns out to be a serial killer who plays psychological games with them. And she directed that. She's the first female director of a noir film. And she's the only woman to ever have directed a Twilight Zone episode. She directed The Masks.
That's a great episode. That is a great episode.
Yeah, and she kind of cut her teeth by she was under contract with Warner Brothers, I think, back in the 40s, and she would always turn down roles when they were presented to her. So she'd get suspended a lot, and she'd spend her time on sets learning everything, film, like working with the cameraman, the directors, the producers, everything. And so then she and her husband started a production company. They started touching on unconventional topics. Like they did a movie called The Bigamist. It deals with children out of wedlock, which back in the 50s was huge taboo. She covered rape. She covered just all kinds of different things that were uncomfortable. In the movie that she covers that, it's never explicitly said. That word's not said, but you understand that that's what happened to the character. But and she just kind of never really wanted to go along, and she turned down roles all the time when she was an actress, and then she started her own production company. She makes the Hitchhiker, and I think she kind of led. B. Arthur's listed her as an inspiration for wanting to get into acting. And I think back in the 50s, for a woman to take charge like that was unheard of,
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether I am not smart enough for this show or you guys are too smart for this show. I haven't decided yet because my answer is very different from both of those. Great polls, both of you. Those, Jesus. Yeah, I think maybe it's I'm not smart enough for this show, so I'm gonna I'm gonna go take a bath with a dictionary or something. But I will. Jesus, my choice is nowhere near as good as those. It's Toni Collette.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Didn't she get the award for Hereditary? Golden Globe, maybe? I always get the awards wrong. Miss Shake makes fun of me. I am terrible at what award is which, so
don't worry about that. They're all meaningless these days. Honestly, she was in so many great horror projects that I think people just like Velvet Buzzsaw. She was in the same year as Hereditary, and that I think was overshadowed.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's so good. It's on Netflix, man. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal, but she plays she works as an art critic, and she like curates the art for the critics, so she's like the go-between, and she's so good in it. The movie's out there, and I'm not saying it doesn't have its issues, but I definitely I loved it. It was gory and had some cool vibes to it, and it was just tons of stars in it too. It was a
Renee Russo.
Who?
Yeah, Renee Russo's in it, right?
Yeah, she's in it too. Yeah. She plays like a millionaire in it who buys the art and stuff. So it's so very well done. But she's just in so many great things that I think people forget because she shows up in horror movies, left and right. I mean, Krampus, people I think don't really remember how great her role in Krampus was. As funny as that could be, she played a great mother kind of losing it. In this whole thing.
She loses it very well.
Oh, yeah.
Not to make fun of her. I say that with respect, that because you know, a lot of times pulling that much emotion out of nowhere is hard to do for actors.
Oh yeah.
Like not everyone can do that, and she, you know, and to make it believable is tough. So I mean, more power to her for being able to do that and not like just have a mental breakdown after every role she ever does.
Yeah, and I mean, like she was in the Fright Night remake, and she made a better character of the mother. She was in The Sixth Sense, you know, like so she's been in horror. Like she is a horror. I would say she's like one of the best actors to be in horror, but I think because she's done so much mainstream, it's overshadowed how well she's done in horror. And how much she still continues to do in horror. I mean, Hereditary is only like a couple of years old.
Amazing actress.
You know, so one of the reasons I picked up on this because I saw so many posts throughout the month of women in horror, and I loved it. But it always seemed like it was the same women in horror, which still deserve those accolades. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like nobody was kind of like reaching outside the box and like, you know, I guess it takes 3 men to figure it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
kidding.
No.
I'm doing that just as a joke. We thought outside the box because, you know, I mean, you guys especially. Ida Lupino, such a great poll. It really is, because I would have never thought that. Because I'm so familiar with her mainstream career. Yeah. But you're right. The Hitchhikers and just Masks in
That's a great episode. I didn't know she directed that.
Yeah, and she did. I mean, she worked really as a director of television in the like 50s, 60s, up until the 70s. In the 70s, she kind of went back into acting. But I mean, she directed Gunsmoke and The Virginian and Gilligan's Island, Bewitched, a whole bunch of. I mean, she worked a wide range of TV directing jobs. So, but I mean, you know, people talk about the. Anna Biller's kind of getting some attention now because of The Love Witch. Mary Lambert, people point to Pet Sematary. Nia DaCosta is probably going to be an up-and-coming one that people will mention a lot, especially if Candyman knocks it out of the park like it probably will.
I think the only way it doesn't is because of COVID, because it's been pushed back so much.
Yeah, and they're really pushing for a theatrical release on that one. I know. I mean, like Jordan Peele, who's producing that, is kind of pushing for it, and they want to with that movie, because of the way that they're talking about the African American community in it. They want as wide a release as possible because they want that discussion that you're not going to get from everybody watching it at home on their couch, which I can understand that part of it. When there are people coming out and saying, oh, well, it's going to affect my back end because the deal would have been bigger if it come out in the theater. Like if a Transformers movie was waiting to come out because they want that money there. No one's going to say that a Transformers movie is right to defend itself for wanting to be released in the theater. But I will say that for the right reason, I would agree that, a movie like Candyman, when that comes out, everyone should be talking about it. So I can respect that decision there.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, those polls. You guys are too smart. You guys are way too smart.
And they talk about, and I think if Mary was here, she probably could have talked about. There's
more smart. That's what we need.
A lot of times we talk about women directors, but we don't talk about women writers. We don't talk about women stunt people. One of my Death Proof is one of my favorite Tarantino movies, and that Zoe Bell was Uma Thurman's stunt double in Kill Bill and everything, and so working with her, Tarantino said, "I'm doing Death Proof, but I'm not doing it if you're not in it."
Awesome.
Well, yeah, she was all in it because he wanted to do that stunt from the vanishing point.
Yeah, a ship's mast.
And she was like, "Yeah, that's a huge stunt. Everybody wants to do that." So she was all for it. And she became the highest paid stunt woman in. She still might be. I don't know how active she is still, but yeah, the highest paid stunt woman in the business.
Yeah, so. And just all the different roles and behind the scenes that are still traditionally done by men that we don't really talk about either. And like I said, Mary probably could have brought up the think it's the creature from the Black Lagoon. The costume, I can't remember if it's the costume design or set design or something, but it's largely worked uncredited by a woman on that one, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, but
we'll have plenty of other episodes to do that. We are gonna kind of wrap things up here, only because it's gonna be an extra long episode with the Dark and Wicked interview that we have coming up. So, and I want to add Frank in there because he is one of the hosts, and unfortunately he couldn't be here for the very first episode. So I feel like
perfectly good excuse though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I want to make sure we add that interview in. But so everybody, make sure you stick around, check that out. I of course am Mick Manhattan. I'm the Scene Snob. You can find me over at scenesnobs.com. Dan, take it away with what are you gonna plug, man?
MasterShake. Join me every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, and I will lead you into a good night of horror and fun.
Damn right you will. And make sure you check in, you follow, go over to John on Twitter is a Fading Arcader. You can follow him there, and you should be following them there because the man knows where everything's going on. So until next time, this is the Final Onesies. We're going to be bringing on some guests coming up. We got some fun stuff planned, but this is the first episode. So stick around for the Dark and Wicked Michael Abbott Jr. Interview, and make sure you follow us at Onesies Horror. All right, everybody. Until next time, take care.
Cheers.
We love to have all the interaction. So I, again, am the Scene Snob Mick Manhattan. Check out thescenesnobs.com. You can follow us anywhere on social media at The Scene Snob. And we will talk to you guys soon. Take care. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Scene Snobs podcast. This is a very special evening for us. Frank is here. He's joining me. We are hosting this event. And we have a very special guest here tonight. Someone who probably ruined my 2020 in a big way with the movie we watched tonight with his performance, because it was so amazing. And the movie is so dark and so wicked. It lives up to its title. I want to introduce him now.
Naturally. I'm sorry. Wait, I got to interrupt you. You did that so naturally. You dropped the name of the movie by saying it without really kind of like making it awkward. That was good. I liked it. Good job.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And, you know, I am very excited to talk to him because I've loved a bunch of movies he's in. Loving is one of my favorite movies in the past few years, and he did an incredible role in that as well. I want to introduce our special guest, Mr. Michael Abbott Jr. Michael, hello. Welcome to the show.
How are you guys?
After watching the movie again, still scarred. Still scarred.
Still.
Wait, this was the Talladega Nights screening, right?
No,
I'm here for some comedy. I don't need any drama.
That's
I
10:30.
would have taken some wonderful comedy after that. Your performance is brilliant in this movie, man. I was so excited to have you here. Thank you so much. And you know, you have such a great resume, and you kill it in every performance. Like I said, I was talking about Loving, which was just an amazing movie that you were a part of. And if anybody hasn't seen it, go check it out. It's oh my God, it's intense and wonderful. And Mud is one of my favorite movies of 2012, I believe it came out. Yeah, that was
Mick, you're a deep fan. That's awesome.
I do, man.
Why don't we just hop offline here and
Yeah.
have a chat?
We didn't get an opportunity. We didn't get an opportunity to like chit chat before we jumped on live. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm just excited that at least one of us is excited to have me here.
all three of us are. We have how many people do we have live in chat right now? Do you have the number?
We got a ton of people joining us. I want to say thank you to everybody and these wonderful supporters who watched the movie tonight and are raving about it. They truly loved, everyone's performance in it. It's such a visceral movie in so many levels, but you think about, and it's, I can't even get over the finger scene. Every time I see that scene, I'm like, oh my God. And that's not even the hardest part of the movie. That's the crazy part.
Right.
Yeah, that's just getting you warmed up, I think.
It truly is.
Yeah.
So before we pop into too much of the interview, like let us explain a little bit to you, Michael, what we do we run weekly watch-alongs where we'll get like 30, 40, 50 people to watch a new movie that's come out. And this week was The Dark and the Wicked. And so we have a crew of about 30 or so people that just got done watching it. And they're all in the chat right now with maybe questions ready to ask. And if not,
I just read the ending is the worst part. That was my favorite comment so far. The ending is the worst part, though.
Well, no, I will say this. MasterShake 1983. I know what he means, and I don't want to give anything away because anybody who hasn't seen it is watching. But your scene, and this is the worst part for me in it, but it is insane. It's your scene when you finally get home to your family. That's what we mean when it's the worst part. Like it's so intense. Like worst part as in it scars for sure.
Yeah, and interesting enough, that was an alternate scene. We when we finished shooting back in what was that, March of 2020? Jesus. No.
Seems
March
like forever.
2019. Okay. There was actually a different scene there altogether. And when Brian had finished the film, kind of put an edit together, and they played it for a test audience, and the original scene that was in there wasn't really working for the test audience. It was confusing to the audience, and so he rewrote a scene, and we went back, I guess maybe 6 months later, and shot the scene that's in the movie now when I come home. So it's a lot different than what it used to be, and I think he made the right choice.
I think so too. And again, it's scarring. I got to see this in the theater last November, and it was an experience even then because our local Alamo has been open since July, and we have a group called Psycho Cinema. So we show a lot of horror based and stuff, and this was one of them. And I was just like, "Geez, it really was." It was one we talked about quite a bit after.
Yeah, I know. This was a film that was really meant to be seen in a theater in terms of sound design and everything. And I think in a perfect world, there is still a scenario where folks will get to see this in a theater, albeit it might be a short stint, but. I think people should have the opportunity to see it how it was meant to be seen. Now, granted, I know a lot of people have fantastic setups at home, but nothing beats sitting in a packed theater with an audience and feeling the expressions of the people around you. That's 90% of the experience, at least for me.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And we try to recreate that as best we can with the virtual experience of watch-alongs. So I like how something you tweeted earlier today was something to the effect of The Dark and the Wicked found its audience finally now that it's on Shudder. And so even though you can't be in an audience, I almost put it off. I heard last year so many times, you got to watch this movie, you got to watch this movie. And then I heard it was coming out on Shudder. And I was like, oh, wait, as soon as it comes out on Shudder, everyone's going to be talking about it. That's the time to really get on it. How does it feel to like see everyone tweeting about it, see everyone like so excited about it now? You said you filmed like in 2019. So to you, this is like, it's almost like old news. Like you filmed it years ago. So now it's like, it's coming up again. How does it feel to like have it blow up suddenly and find its audience?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, when this thing first premiered back at the Fantasia Festival, I kind of equate the excitement now to how it was then, and then there seemed to be like a big lapse in time just because we were so limited in terms of our theatrical release thanks to the the global pandemic. But I think I'm a total idiot when it comes to horror films. I had no idea what Shudder was before I found out it was going to be released on Shudder. I had to ask people and read about it and find out. I am admittedly not a horror genre fan for no other reason than that they scare the shit out of me. I have enough anxiety without horror films in my life. So it's a world that's new to me that I'm just beginning to explore a little bit. So I had to figure out what Shudder was, and certainly in the last 24 hours, it has become pretty evident that there are a lot of horror fans on Shudder.
It's a powerful streaming service.
I'm glad that the film is there now and has a place to live for a while.
They just announced recently that they hit 1 million subscribers, which to me seemed low. I thought that they had been higher than that, but that's still a great number. And so yeah, you see it immediately hit a large audience all at one time, and that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And from day one, the driving force behind this thing has really been social media. I feel like it's kind of like the little engine that could. I don't know how much money they put behind this money to market it. I know it wasn't much, but social media, tweets and Instagram and TikTok, and that's stuff that you can't pay for, and those are the true fans. Those are the invaluable comments and reviews that are going to continue to bring people in, and that's honestly who we make these movies for anyway. That's who we make movies for in general, or for the fans that come in flocks to check them out.
One thing you worked with Brian Bertino on this, fantastic director, and he's made The Strangers, which is one of the best horror movies in my opinion. And this is such a different turn, as in that's more of a human horror. You got your serial killers, and then this is very supernatural. Well, stepping into this and working with Brian, how was that? He's obviously has a grasp on what horror is. Is there anything he kind of made you go watch along the way, or to kind of connect?
I mean, Brian is a very quiet, mysterious guy, but he's also a very down to earth, everyday guy with a huge heart, and he knows how to communicate with actors. Marin and I, this was both of our first horror films. Neither one of us had ever done a horror film before, so he really took us under his wing from the beginning, and because it really was, to a certain extent, relearning the film medium, because there are so many more setups in a horror film than what you're used to on a regular film or television set. One of the first days that we were in production, I remember Marin and I looking at our watch, going, "Holy fuck! How long is this going to take? We're still on the same scene we started shooting 12 hours ago. What the hell's going on?" And then Brian took us aside and he explained the I don't know if you've got the triangle, and how the camera has to be set up in a triangle for each scare shot to set in order to sell a scare. And when he kind of dumbed it down for us, it all made sense. But we were going into this because on paper this film reads very much like a family drama, a psychological thriller with horror elements, which is one of the things that I thought made the script so brilliant, because he was able to meld those two worlds together. That and the fact that the film was very personal for him. He wrote the script on the actual farm that we shot on. That's the farm that he grew up on as a kid. So he has known for a long time what exact shots he wanted and where he wanted the camera placed. So it was a very personal film for him. And so I think because of that, it kind of resonated through his communication into us. And it really kind of made it, it's a film about families. And the cast and crew really we were so isolated in the middle of nowhere, Texas, pre-pandemic. This would have been a perfect pandemic film to make because we were within our own little bubble, in this tiny town, no one around, no neighbors, nobody knew what we were doing, nobody knew we were there. So it was a tight knit group of people, and I think that really plays into the film, and the farm actually becomes a main character itself, which I think is really cool also.
Yeah, we have a couple of people asking questions, and one I was pretty interested about too was the cinematography with the lighting. It seems so minimal. Like, how was it on set? I mean, it's gotta be. I mean, he knows this. You said he grew up there, so he knows every nook and cranny of spots. Like, how was the lighting there? Was it minimal at best, or?
It was very minimal. The crew did a fantastic job of taking the elements that were already there and growing upon them in an organic way.
Nice.
But for the most part, the light that you see is the light that's on that film, and or the light that's on that farm. I'm sorry, but even in terms of set dressing and props, and those were all things that were there. None of that stuff was brought. Aside from fake goat parts and whatnot. Obviously, those things weren't there, but. The three-legged goat was there. That was not CGI. That was an actual three-legged goat. That goat made more than Marin and I combined.
That's awesome.
Had a huge trailer. Astronomical cocaine budget for that three-legged goat. Just FYI.
Need some more C-47s on set.
The crew did a fantastic job at just taking what was already there and just growing on that just enough to where it would read on screen.
Yeah, you guys, and they've talked about your chemistry. Everybody's talking. Between you and Marin, how was that? Like, did you guys get together before? Did you know each other before?
We did. I actually produced and started a movie back in 2016 called In the Radiant City. And Marin and I had played brother and sister in that film, and we only had one scene together. But it was the most pivotal scene in the film. So we had spent a lot of time together, just kind of creating the backstory for those siblings in that film. And after that experience, we became really close over the course of that production, and stayed friendly, stayed in touch, and we knew we wanted to work together again. And there was actually another actress attached to the role of Louise for this, and at one point they had to move the schedule, and when that happened, that actress had to bow out due to prior obligations. And I went to the producers and was like, "You guys have to hire Marin for this. I mean, you have to at least let her audition." I thought she was absolutely perfect, and I'm so glad that they ended up with her because she runs away with it. I mean, it's her movie. It's in my opinion, there is no other actress, certainly in my generation, who is equally as transcending on stage as she is on film. She commits 150% of herself to everything she does, and on top of all that, she's a fantastic woman and super talented. And I'm thrilled that I had an opportunity to work with her in this.
You're the type of person that anyone would want to work with. That would like promote the people that they worked with so highly, like you just did. That was incredible.
But
that's awesome.
Let's be honest, you're only as good as who you're on screen with. And if I can continue to surround myself with fantastic people, maybe I can fake my way in this business long enough to stick around for a little bit.
Amen.
Well, I have no doubts of that, honestly.
You said you weren't a big horror fan in general, and I gotta acknowledge there's a little audio thing going on. Can you hear?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Are you using an iPhone?
Worse.
Are you using an iPhone, Frank?
I am.
No, I'm on the computer. I've been muting myself.
Oh, I think it's the iPhone. That'll happen sometimes without. Do you have your earbuds in?
I tried to use my earbuds and it said they weren't compatible.
Oh, that's
wow, that's.
but you can hear us well enough. It's not like distracting you that badly.
What's that now?
I guess it is. That answered the question.
You get one of these, Frank. You get one of these.
I asked if it was distracting you that badly. The audio.
It's not distracting. As long as I can hear your question, I'm fine.
Cool.
You know, I'm in Brooklyn, New York. I've got semi trucks and homeless people yelling out my window. So it's yelling over them and the crackling of the phone. I'll be fine though. As long as this stays filled, we'll be good.
That's fun.
Awesome.
So would you consider being in more horror movies in the future? Is this a genre that you'd be interested in acting in the future?
I mean, you know, I would never rule anything out. Let's put it that way. Like I said, one of the things that really drew me to this script from the beginning was that it wasn't what I would call a traditional horror film, what I used to think was a traditional horror film. I had no interest in running through a forest away from a boogeyman with a hacksaw, you know. But what really drew me to this was that I felt like they were real people dealing with a dire situation, dealing with loss, dealing with being alienated, dealing with the death of a loved one. And again, this is all pre-pandemic. And I think this film is resonating with people in a different way now than it would have had it come out, say, a year and a half ago, prior to all of this going on. I think, you know, I think we're going to take a lot less things for granted once we get through this whole COVID attack, and I think family is going to be at the top of that list. So I think, you know, I think this film has been difficult for a lot of people to watch. I think there are some people who probably shouldn't watch this film.
This is very, very similar to something like Hereditary that was very difficult to watch.
You know, the producers are probably cringing from me saying, you know, telling people not to watch the movie. But I think those people will know who they are and will know enough about the film to proceed with caution. We'll say that.
You're speaking to the audience who will hear you say don't watch it and jump to watch it. You know,
yeah, that's secretly what I'm doing.
Exactly. So here's my follow-up question to that, though. Then, movies like this can have a lasting impact for decades. Like, I could see a movie like this being a classic. Do you consider the legacy that something like this may have? Like, how you could be at a horror convention 25 years from now talking about something like this? Like, does something like that cross your mind?
I mean, that's great. I mean, that's certainly exciting to think about. It's not something that I personally think about. I try to focus on doing good work and being truthful in the moment and taking direction as best I can and becoming my character to the highest degree that I can do. I certainly know that The Strangers is a film that people still talk about today, like it came out last week, and are still just as impacted by it after having seen it, 100 times. And I think that speaks more to the filmmaker. I think that speaks to Brian's expertise and his mastery of the genre. So is that exciting to me that we could be talking about this film 10, 15, 20 years from now? Of course. Would I love it? Yes. Does it, if we're not talking about it, does it change the experience? Do I feel any less about the film? Absolutely not.
That's the perfect answer, and I wouldn't expect any less. It's a beautiful film either way, and you were terrific in it.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a few questions from some of our audience. One was the scene where the old man is on the ceiling. Do you know how that was achieved? What they used was.
You know what? I could say yes, but I don't know all of the specifics because it was probably one of 6 days that I wasn't on set. So I don't want to say yes and then not be able to go into an explanation for how it was pulled off.
That's completely fair. Another one I'm really Tim asked that I'm really intrigued now is like, what was the most difficult scene for you to film, and how did you mentally prepare? This is from MasterShake. How did you mentally prepare for the existential nature of the film?
There was how did I mentally prepare? I mean, we pretty much stayed prepared for the full 5 weeks, 6 weeks that we were on set and shooting. I mean, as I was saying before, we were totally alienated in the middle of nowhere, Texas. So there were no distractions. So all of our focus was on the work that we were doing. And I felt very confident in the relationship that Marin and I had built, and that the communication between Brian and Marin and I was on target, and he felt comfortable guiding us however which way he saw fit. So I, in terms of how did I prepare, I prepared for it just like I prepare for any other project. I do the work beforehand and then lay myself in the hands of the director. But what was the most difficult scene? I think the most difficult scene for me was probably in the barn, seeing my mother walking towards me, and then her showing up behind me, and then me ending up on the ground. We actually broke that up into a couple of days. That was a pretty big undertaking, but just I think mentally, psychologically, emotionally, that was probably the heaviest scene for me. Which, hey, isn't so bad considering what Marin had to go through. I felt like she really got put through the ringer. So I think I had it pretty easy. Oh, actually, the scene with the kids, coming home to the kids at the end, that was also a very difficult scene. But honestly, that was probably easier for me because I was able to think of my own kids, and that seems like a cheap way out. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
That's a great answer. We appreciate that. Definitely. I mean, we are fans of the movie for sure. I love your work. I think you've been fantastic in all of your work.
Including the one I noticed that you had Daredevil in your bio, and I was like, who was he in Daredevil? I was like, so I clicked your junkie in Daredevil. that's the character title. I don't know what episode of Daredevil.
Oh God! Oh, you should have asked me that. You should have asked me beforehand, and I would have told you. I was a heroin dealer.
Okay.
And actually, yeah, that was quite an experience. I actually got punched by Charlie in that.
Oh no, Charlie Cox punched you.
Yeah. So that's one I will never forget.
My bad. Yeah, we should have talked about it beforehand. I wouldn't have asked.
It was I had a blast doing it. It was just it was a lot of fun. It was a little rushed. Let's say that.
Yeah. No,
you're a man that has in so many levels. You stood toe to toe on screen with some of the great. I mean, Burt Reynolds, Matthew McConaughey, so many more. Joel Edgerton. You're right up there, man. You've done terrific work. I am a fan. I love your movies. I love what you bring to them. Compliance. Was a great movie, and I know you were in that. And you've done fantastic work, man. I'm very
thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and tout the movie. And I appreciate what you guys do too. Really bringing some awareness to some of these films that might necessarily or might not necessarily get the exposure that some of the bigger budgets will get. So I appreciate what you guys do too. This means a lot for film fans. So keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for joining in today. We appreciate everybody.
You have another screening. I know you need to go to that screening.
Yeah, we got Hush is playing.
Push it off. We could say start at 10:05.
Yeah, everybody's good there. Like Hush is starting in a little bit. That was another great movie, Mike Flanagan movie. Everybody should check out. But yes, Michael, thank you so much again for joining us. Everybody, if you didn't check it out, or you're watching this later, or listening to this later, make sure you check out The Dark and the Wicked. It is a truly fantastic horror film. We appreciate you all guys jumping in. One thing I do want to bring up, if I can, the scenesnobs.com is hosting next week an 8-hour fundathon to save Brady, a puppy who needs surgery. We're doing that next week, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. I just wanted to say that, so everybody join in, and you can go to the GoFundMe and donate now. But we want to thank our guests, Michael Abbott Jr. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Everybody is so stoked and love the movie. So, you were just awesome to do this with us.
Thanks, man. Let's save that puppy.
We're going to do our best, man. Thank you so much.
You got it. Take care, guys. Enjoy your night.
All right. You too, buddy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Well, Hush is starting up next. Make sure you guys go and queue it up. Get ready. Get on the Discord so you can, go along with everybody. That was awesome. Michael is just a great guy. Fantastic.
That was great. That was great. You could tell he was having a little issues hearing us. But we got through it. That was a great interview. That was so much fun. Next week, I'm about to throw it on Twitter and Discord. Next week, the director of Open 24 Hours is going to tweet with us. So 2 weeks in a row, we're going to have filmmakers with us. He's not coming on YouTube or anything. I tried to get him on YouTube, but he's going to be like working on some music video all day. So he's like, I'm going to try and tweet with you. But we're going to tweet with him. We're going to watch Open 24 Hours and Lucky. Lucky's the release on Shudder next week. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Mick, it's always freaking a pleasure hanging out with you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, brother. And one thing I will pitch right now is make sure you check out our new show, the Final Onesies Horror Podcast. We're recording this weekend, the first episode, and we are going
anywhere nearby. I would go grab it, but it's in the other room.
Yeah, mine's upstairs too. So, but definitely just check it out. Join us, and I'll be there with Hush because I love that movie, and I want to be there for Midnight Movie.
Me too. Cool. So I'm sure, I don't know if everyone pressed play or not, but yeah, everyone get ready to press play at Hush, and we'll see you in Discord.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.